Today we're talking about what is house hacking and how it can work for you, the different types of house hacking, and I'll go through my house hacks, the two different ones that I've done, and I'll even break down the latest house hack that I'm doing and how much the numbers are. From 2019 to today, the differences in the numbers. So, the reason house hacking is so helpful is you're trying to replace your largest expense or what is typically most people's largest expense. And that was true for me. When I first heard about this, in probably about 2014 or 2015, and started looking into it, uh, my largest expense was my mortgage. It was about $600 a month at the time. And house hacking is where you can do two different kinds that I'm aware of. Maybe there's more options, but there's two that I know of. You can do a live-in house hack, which I did for a while, where someone lives with you and rents a room from you, rents some of the space inside your home. Then there's also a house hack where you buy a small multifamily property. So that would be like a duplex, a triplex, or a quad. And you live in one unit, you own the building, you live in one unit, and you rent all the others out. That's actually what I do today. So I have a duplex in northern Kentucky, and I live in one side and I rent the other side out. And I have done that since I bought it in about February 2019 and had it renovated, needed some repairs. So I had that done to it and actually moved into it in about May of 2019. And I'm going to give you the numbers on that of what it looked like then and why it made sense, and then the numbers today and why it makes even better sense over time. One of the reasons that house hacking works pretty well for your money, you can get more house, more property. So typically, like if you compare a single family residential home versus a small multifamily property, the price per unit for the multifamily will be less. So you can actually get more space for the same amount of money. Part of that is because typically with a single family residential house, that's more of an emotional buy. Like someone sees that house and they fall in love with it, and they're willing to pay extra for it. And people prefer to live in single family residential houses. People usually don't prefer to live in a duplex, a triplex, a quad, things like that. So that's one of the reasons you can find them for on a per unit basis. You can find a small multifamily for less than you would find a typical single family. Um, my first house hack that I did happened by accident. A colleague, actually a coworker of mine, came to me one day. It's kind of a funny story, and was like, "Hey, man, my girlfriend's kicking me out. Can I come stay at your place for a while?" And I told him yes, that he could, but I was going to charge him rent. So he actually moved in a couple months later. Uh, Moved in, stayed at my place for about a year and a half. I wasn't originally sure how well it would work out, but fast forward, that was in the summer of 2016. So he stayed till about January or so of 2018 until he moved to New York State. But today, we are still really good friends, still really close friends. But the numbers on that house hack, so just so you can see how it cut my expenses, at least I have the mortgage portion here, but my mortgage on that property was $600 per month, and that's principal, interest, taxes, and insurance. That's everything. It doesn't count utilities, but that was $600. So I was charging $300 for the room. So it basically cut my housing expenses in half on that house hack. And that one was just by accident. I was not even planning to do that. I wasn't looking for that. That just happened. That was just something that an unexpected life event happened for a colleague and a friend. And I ended up doing my first house hack. I didn't completely do it right, where you're supposed to write up a lease and things like that, but we were both good friends, so it worked out. It worked out great, actually. Now, my plan was when I left North Carolina and moved to Northern Kentucky, I'd planned to do a house hack. That was part of my intentions. I was in the market for a duplex when I moved there, and I found one. Found a great opportunity. So I bought this duplex in 2019, and here's the numbers on that when I rented it out. Um, so the rent, when we put it up for rent, so I'm living in one side and I'm renting out the other side. So the rent on that side in 2019 was $9.95 per month. Now everything after this is going to be the expenses. Um, so expenses, the mortgage, that's principal, interest, taxes, and insurance, PITI, was $1,000. So at that point, you can see I'm almost breaking even right there. But there's more expenses. That's not all that there is. So I still had to pay for trash. That was $15 a month. Also had to pay for property management. That's $90 a month. It's 9% of the gross rents. Lawn care, which that's just in the summer months, but you just average it out through the whole year, and that comes to about $100 a month. And the last thing is I always put money back for maintenance and vacancy, and that is 15% of the gross rent. And that comes to about $150 a month. So if you take all that out, my housing cost for living, what it cost me to live in the duplex in 2019, so I had to come out of pocket each month $360 to live there. So, and that's better. I was actually, when I first moved to Northern Kentucky, I was actually paying rent. Rent on a one bedroom, that was it, was $1,000 a month on a one bedroom. So we could say I cut my housing expenses from $1,000 down to $360. So that's a net savings. Net savings of what? What is that? $640? Yeah, $640. My math could be off. Okay, let's fast forward to today. So today, this is typically what happens. Rents go up, and then expenses, they go up too, but usually not as fast. And they're usually on a smaller base. It's on a smaller starting amount. So fast forward to today. So this is, what is it, 5 years later? So 2019 and now to 2024. Rent is now $1,295. That's what the other side of the duplex rent's for. The mortgage actually has dropped, and the reason for that is I switched insurance carriers. I found a carrier that was a little bit cheaper. I also went up on the deductible a little bit. So my mortgage dropped from 2019 to 2025. Trash stayed the same at $15 a month. Property management went up because the rent also went up. So property management, at least in this situation, is 9% of gross rents, so about $120 a month. Lawn care has stayed the same, $100 a month. And the maintenance and vacancy that I put back, just in case it needs a roof or something like that, also goes up because, again, we're keeping 15% of the gross rents in an account for that. So that went to 200. So if you figure all that up, today I'm out of pocket $40 a month is what I'm out. So that's right. Basically break even. So I live there for free. That's why it works. It's always, house hacking is usually good when you start, and it just gets better year after year because rents are going up. Not always the 3% per year we always hear about, but typically that's what it's going to be over any 10 or 20-year period. You can look back and maybe one year it goes up 10% because somebody moves out and you can raise the rent that much. Or it goes up just a small amount because you've kept the same tenant and you don't want them to leave, things like that. So I hope that was helpful to you. If if I can help you in any way, if you want to run the numbers on a house hack or you got thoughts about one or anything like that, feel free to let me know. I can help you look at it, underwrite it, things like that, kind of see where you think you would be at. Another kind of property that can work, I know I mentioned small multifamilies, but if you found a property that has like, sometimes they're called an ADU, auxiliary dwelling unit, something like that, or if it has a basement that can be converted into a small apartment or a garage apartment or something like that, those are fine too. That could be a house hack. You could live in the main house and then rent out the garage apartment or something like that, or vice versa. You can do it any of those ways. You're just trying to cut what is typically most people's biggest expense. And it was true for me, and that's all I was trying to do with this. So, y'all be careful, have a good day, and I'll see you later.